Hey, what's up, Ward Wrestling Live? I'm here with another awesome coach that was at Fargo for Team Florida. He's the head assistant coach of Mater Lakes down there in the 305. He's the grad assistant at St. Thomas. He's got his 305 on right there, and he's back. What's happening,
up?
man? We got JD Ramsey, my man. Man, what a good time we had in Fargo, huh?
Oh, it was a blast. That was a great group of guys and a great group of kids as well.
Yeah, man, it was my first experience, and I was running around like crazy, but it was wow, just to see how big that event is and the energy in the room and the 7,200 kids, and it was just pure insanity for me. I mean, that's the most wrestlers in one place that I've ever witnessed. I mean, I've been to like the scuffle and stuff, but as far as like energy in a room, that was insane.
Yeah, I think you were working harder than all of us on staff, honestly. you were all over the place.
Oh man.
But Fargo's unmatched. There's nothing like it, like you said, you've been to a bunch of big tournaments. I've obviously been, to my share of tournaments as well, and nothing quite matches that feeling. You're on the floor with the who's who of USA wrestling at any given time. You're seeing the best of the next generation. And then, in the coaching corners, you have Olympians and world champions, and those same type of guys are walking the floor and rubbing shoulders with the kids. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you'd see Bumgardner just hanging out there. You'd see DC. You'd see what's the dude's name? I'm having from Wisconsin.
Oh, Ben Askren, yeah.
Ben Askren coaching in the corner,
and his brother Max.
Yeah, and then you'd see women. I mean, there were like crazy top level American girls in these corners coaching their state team. I saw Julia Salata. I saw Gray. I saw Geneva Gray. I saw who was the other one? Gross's wife.
Oh yeah. I was actually just like watching a little video on the two of them and their relationship. That's really cool how they're training partners and stuff.
Yeah, she was out there coaching her corner. I mean, girls, boys, they were all over the place. What now? This is your second year there as a coach, right?
At St. Thomas, yeah. I'll be graduating in the spring with a master's in sports admin.
And then Fargo, it's your second year there, right?
Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah, Fargo.
Yeah, because you took Ethan last year, right? And then last year he placed as well, right? In one style or both?
He placed in freestyle 7th, and then he was a blood rounder. He was Ethan Vergara last year.
And then this year, 3rd and 3rd, if I remember right?
Double bronze.
Yeah, he told me once I lost that match, I was like, oh, I'm not losing again, man. I'm going to make this run all the way back. Before we get into Team Florida and everything, your relationship with him, and I talked to him a little bit. I said, it's the first time after that Greco match, it was the first time you saw the emotion come out of both of you. Having that kid from day one to now sending him off to college. And what has he meant to you? And man, you're going to miss that kid, right?
Yeah, it's already weird. The first week of school has been super odd without Ethan in the hallways. Before I even had the job at Mater Lakes, I went to a practice and was kind of helping out, and they were running sprints. I'll never forget this. And Ethan was the youngest kid on that team, and we had a team full of hammers. And they all ran the sprint, but every single time they would run the sprint, they were stopping short of the finish line. They weren't running through the finish line. And even though Ethan was probably 100 meters back from the next to last guy, he ran as hard as he could through the finish line and 10 yards past, So like from that moment on, I was like, yo, who is that kid? Like, what's his name? And he was obviously a bigger kid, and I was an All-American heavyweight. So I was like, I want to work with the heavyweights. He was a bigger kid in 8th grade, and I was like, this kid's got it. Like, from day one, I just knew he had it. I really did. And he's put in the work ever since. I don't think he's ever said no to a workout. He had knee surgery and bounced back 9 months later and won a state title. So his work ethic is unmatched. And for me, I was in a low place of my life. We kind of came together. So he and I kind of inspired each other to be what we are today, which, I'm aiming to be one of the best coaches, in Florida and in the country, and lead some, championship teams and send some guys off to win some national titles. And he's, going to be the first one to take a crack at it.
And he's man, first of all, just what a good all around kid, good person, good personality, a lot of great character in him. Every time I've been around him, he's just been very respectful, and yeah, it's been fun getting to know him. And I look forward to watching. I've been doing this for what, 2.5 years or something like that. 3 years.
Yeah, I think I was one of your
Maybe.
I was an early guest with Neifeld when it was like early pandemic.
Yeah, but a lot of the kids that I followed from day one, like doing photos and stuff, like when my photos really sucked, but at least I was doing them.
Yeah.
Now they're going off to college, and it's pretty cool to now I got kids I can watch, right, and root for.
Yes.
And
That's
they
awesome.
were sprinkled out there last year, but this year there's a whole class that I've been following for many years, and he's one of them. And he mentioned, he's like, man, that's my big brother, that's my guy. And he said, your ass better be in the stands when he's wrestling in college.
Oh no, I'll definitely be there. I've already told him that trip to it's gonna be fun.
What was that final run with like him? Or this final run's been good. You win a state title. Then you get training freestyle. I know you've had him, you work with him, and then I know you had him with the South Dade guys a little bit too. Bartelt comes up and trains with them, which is a great partner. And then you take them through Fargo, you get double thirds. I mean, that final couple months, man, what was that like? And then going into Fargo, just that experience with him.
Yeah, the final state championship run, it was bittersweet for both of us. I think, just him winning it again, and I think, you win that first one, and it's just it's this elation you've never felt before, and then there's like this pressure to repeat. And then going into Fargo, I can't say enough about Steve Mocco and his role in Ethan as well. Especially in the past few years, they've gotten pretty close.
He mentioned, I apologize. I know you guys, him and Bartelt seemed like brothers to the whole event. So I just remember that.
Oh no, I always say that champions come in pairs. And I knew when Sawyer and Ethan were training together at Lake Highland at the Fargo prep camp, they were iron sharpening iron, to a T. It was awesome to watch those guys go at it and make each other better that week.
Oh yeah, and Mako, I've heard a lot of the bigger kids are starting to, well, a lot of kids, period, but he's a big guy, so a lot of the bigger kids are getting over there to spend some time with him, and we know, man, he's got a pretty good kid himself, huh?
Michael is super tough. Yeah, Michael's very tough, and Peter's going to be tough as well as he gets older. But man, Michael, he was on my 16U team, and watching him go out there and go to war, and really just seeing the jump that he's made in the past year is incredible. I mean, he's went from not placing at some big national tournaments to being a contender at any time he walks in the gym.
He was in the finals.
Yeah, so there's nobody that Mike can't wrestle with, and that's kind of what we were talking about at 16U with him. He dropped a couple tough ones out there, but I was like, dude, you're right there. You're doing the right things, you're working hard, and you're only getting better. And as for Steve, like you talked about everybody making their way to him. If you're in South Florida and you're not going to ATT as much as you can to get with him, you're doing yourself and your wrestlers a disservice, because he's the nicest guy. He's not out to, for any type of personal reasons whatsoever. He's just there to make the kids better, and he's great with the kids. He's got an awesome attitude. It's an infectious area to be in.
It was nice getting, early on. I had him on the show when I was still doing the show with Ricky in the wrestling room, and we had Mako on. And so I got to know him a little bit there. And then every time I'd see him since then, like I'd see him at a tournament, he'd say what's up. He'd always come out of his way to say what's up. I've never really got a chance to like spend time with him like I did at Fargo. And you really get to know him. You really get to see his personality. You really get to see how, yeah, he may be an absolute animal. But when you sit there and hang out with him, he's so personable. He's so welcoming. He just says, don't record me because I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. So I said, all right, only pictures. So, but yeah, it was really cool. And then when we were in the room waiting for the flights, and you could hear how much he really cared about Team Florida, and he really cared about growing it, and he really cared about having all you coaches give him ideas to kind of bring to the board. And so if the perception out there is he's just a name and not involved, I think that's a bad perception, because he seemed as involved as anyone in my experience with Team Florida.
Yeah, he's very involved, and you know he opens the doors to a top-notch training facility for us to train in, you know, free of charge for the Team Florida members. I mean, you can't ask for much more.
Yeah, that Fargo trip, we had I think 30 little or big stop signs altogether. I think 19 All-Americans, 11 double All-Americans, 5 national champs between male, female, cadet, junior, an awesome run. You know, there's still a lot of kids that don't show up for it, right? So what would you tell the kids out there why it's so important to make that trip and be involved with Team Florida? I mean, I know you had a personal experience, but we see what it does for a kid that gets hot in the right tournament. It changes your life.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Again, you know, going back to the who's who of wrestling, not only are you seeing these, you know, MMA stars like DC, but there's college coaches everywhere. You know, for the girls, if you're a girl and you're not going out there right now, is the best time it's ever going to be a girl wrestler. All these new schools, all these new programs popping up at these schools, their coaches are out there recruiting heavily. I mean, all of our girls could go up to 3 different college booths, sign their questionnaire, and talk directly to the coach right there. Now you're on that coach's radar. Now they go out and see your match. You win a big match, and bang, you've got some college money coming your way. Same thing with the guys. The exposure that it gets you is fantastic, unmatched. You know, that's an off-season tournament where all the coaches are available. At Super 32, a lot of the coaches are busy. It's preseason. At the state tournaments, the coaches aren't coming to your state tournament. They're getting their kids ready for NCAAs and the Big Tens and their conference tournaments and et cetera. So, you know, I think it's one of the best places to get noticed. It also shows those college coaches that you're really serious about getting better in your wrestling career. And just, man, it gets you used to wrestling in a big environment. I think I was talking to you about your own son. And I was like, once he's wrestled here, you know, Silver Spurs, which is where Florida wrestles, you know, their state tournament, for those of you guys watching that might not know that. But, you know, if you wrestle in Fargo, any arena is going to seem small after that. Any state tournament arena, it's awesome. It's unmatched.
It's 100 for those. I mean, if you're listening, you know what Fargo is. I hope. If you don't, come out from under your rock. But it's 100 yards. It's the indoor football stadium for North Dakota, right? It's unbelievable. 28 mats, 1 stage. It's incredible. Yeah, there's tournaments out there that are huge, like Columbus Day Duels has 54 mats, all different types of classes. It's huge what they do up there. But it's not Fargo, right? Like there's something about that aura.
There's definitely something about when you walk, when you fly in, and the first time you see the Fargo Dome sign, it's exhilarating. It is. And even in my second year, you know, I thought after the first year, I was like, okay, I'll be used to it. Now it's that same energy comes back as soon as you get there. And you just know that you're going to see some special things happen. You really are.
Insane. And you see a lot of the top kids, because since Columbus Day is in Pennsylvania, you'll see a lot of those top kids. But again, the best are at that Fargo tournament, and it's insane. And, you know, one thing I learned about being there was Fargo doesn't give a shit who you are, what you've won, a world tournament, an American AAU state tournaments. I mean, there were kids that were Pan Am, whatever, that were getting knocked out left and right. I mean, it was state
Oh,
champions leaving. It was
yeah,
insane.
state champs going 0-2 all over the place.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, like you said, I know Daniel had a good time. To get 2 wins was just awesome. I know, you know, these big time coaches like, wow, 2 win, whatever, but for me, 2 wins for him, and then he was in that last match. So yeah, like you said, hopefully he came home and his confidence was high from that. You've got a lot of young talent over there at Mater Lakes. You've got the family. What's the last name?
We've got the Odell brothers,
Got the Odell brothers, and then you have the jujitsu.
Messina brothers. Yeah, the Asian Mafia, the Ethan Tran and the Messina bros.
You have Callias, right?
Yep. Kalias Nazario's there.
So you have
Yeah.
a lot of young talent coming up, man. You're gonna make some noise, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a solid team for the last couple of years now, but we're always starting, a few middle schoolers, and you're starting to see those middle school guys who have been our varsity wrestlers for a year or two coming into their own, and really we're still a young squad. I think our best years are still ahead of us even after this year. And we've also got Bruce Lee, who just came in. He's a Team Florida guy as well, so he's going to be very tough. He's in that same group. Chris Green. I mean, there's even a few more guys that maybe the state might not know their names just yet, but you guys are going to know them soon enough. They're coming out in droves now. They're starting to see our younger guys have some success, and it's really breeding something special there at Mater Lakes.
And you got a couple badass girls.
Yeah, I'm
Hard
really
to build
excited about
that
our
side.
team. I really am. We've got a couple new girls who are coming out. They've been wrestling here and there through the summer with the club, and I'm really excited to see them. We also had last year Ariana, who unfortunately missed the weigh-in for the second day of state tournament. I really think she might have placed as a sixth grader, so I'm excited to see her. Sophia Ferran, she's going to be hopefully bumping up that second place to a first this year. And we have our senior team captain Janice, who has been with us for maybe 6 years. I'm excited for her to experience, one, that she gets to experience the FHSAA official state tournament. Two, for a couple of years before we had Bayonne come over, she was the only girl on the team, and then she was, she's just been the only girl in the room for so long. I'm glad that she finally has a team to kind of share her own memories with.
Yeah, it's been cool to see what you're doing down there, at least in my short time in the last 3 years or whatever that I've kind of been focused and watching and doing all this. It's neat to see, but yeah, those Tran brothers, man, they got a bright future. I enjoy watching them wrestle. I think I enjoy most is how they don't ever stop. It seems like they're always going. And the match, they keep going. They're looking for that leg. They're looking for that hook. They're looking for that grab. And it seems like they never stop.
Yeah, no, they definitely have some motors on them. I think a lot of that, that jujitsu background kind of comes in when where it's a constant flow, and it's pretty easy to get those guys who are so used to looking for submissions and attacks to look for scores in wrestling, because that's what they're used to doing. And they realize that if they don't stop, they're going to score more often. So those guys are a pleasure to coach. And man, I mean, we've got so many hammers like that. We really do. There's.
I was going to ask, with Callias, missing weight last year, how did that, I know I grabbed him at the state tournament and I was like, hey man, God's got a plan. Just roll with it, right? You're young, you got plenty, but that had to change his mindset, right? I mean, he's got to be during this off season, putting in the work, and I see him posted photos of him working out and stuff, but where's his mind at? Is his mind thinking, man, I want to get back there so bad?
I think you definitely saw that jump from little kid to teenager, to a young man that over the summer. That hurt him. It hurt him a lot, seeing friends of his place and then seeing guys who he's beaten, winning state titles and in the state finals. And him just having to suck it up and swallow it and watch it. We also had another kid who's a senior this year who was ranked number 5. He missed weight at district. So the two of them were ranked number 1 and number 5. And, we lose them going into the state tournament. it hurt the team. So I think not only is it good for both of them now, obviously I wish it wouldn't have happened, but I think both of them are going to be better for it. And I think the team is going to be better for it too.
That was good for me because he's in Daniel's weight class.
Yeah, I can't knock you for that way.
Yeah, hey, I mean, I love Kalai, right? I mean, I've been taking pictures of him and since the knockout and all that stuff, and I would much rather see him there than not there. But it didn't hurt me.
No, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if I were in your shoes either.
uh, I'd have liked to seen that matchup. I know he and Jewel were going back and forth all year. He'd win one, Jewel would win one, he'd win one, Jewel would win.
They're a really fun match to watch.
And it would have been cool to see there. I was happy for Jewel. I know he's been in the finals a couple times and it didn't go his way. And this year it went his way. And
he's a great kid. I can't hate on him either. I'm a fan of what Jensen Beach is doing and McMath, and I like Jewel's dad Chance as well.
Yeah. And I finally got to talk to Jewel a little bit. He's not a kid that will open up and speak a lot. He's kind of quiet, right? And I got to talk to him a little bit at Fargo, and I was sitting on the airplane when we were going back, and he came in and he sat down like kind of a corner right across from me. And I'm just sitting there and he goes, "Hey, I really appreciate you taking pictures for us this week." And I was like, "My pleasure." It was cool that moment, right? So yeah, kudos to him. I know Daniel's been working out trying to get that. Calais looks big though. I don't think he's going 145. He's got to be going up probably. He looks like
I won't disclose any information, but maybe when you turn the record button off, I'll let you know.
yeah, but he looks big, man. He looks really big, but he looks good. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't look like he's walking around with any fat on him. He just looks like he's putting on a lot of muscle.
No, he found the weight room in the off season. He found the weight room for sure. I think he was also tired of cutting weight. So I told him, listen, if you suck at cutting weight, you got to get bigger. And really, he's kind of Coach Neifeld's guy, and he Neifeld stayed on him. I know he helped him get to where he is today.
Yeah, Neifeld's a good dude. I mean, I was talking to Ethan. I'm like, I think the world thinks JD is the only coach you have because Neifeld's always behind the scenes doing his thing. And he said, yeah, he goes, JD's the one that goes out and hits the tournaments and does that. And Neifeld pretty much coaches us and stays behind the scenes and stays home with the younger kids, kind of growing that while you're out with the older kids. Is that pretty much how it works?
Yeah, that's the dynamic. We're good cop, bad cop. I'm the loud one. He's the quiet one. He does all the paperwork. He's the man. He started Matter Lakes from scratch. I just joined Matter Lakes about 4 years ago. This is my 5th year, I think, in the school right now. And he had some really tough wrestlers in his own right. And like you said, he's been fundamental in the growth of, the Asian Mafia and the Odells and Kalias and Damien. And he's really the glue that brought us all together.
Yeah, because I was asking what the dynamic is, because I'm always at tournaments taking photos and I always see you there. And then I was asking, I know Neifeld's a good dude. I've been around him, talked to him, had him on the show with you the first time. And he said, yeah, he likes to really groom the, he's like the groomer.
Yeah, he's the level-headed one. And he's big with the girls team as well. Like, he travels with the girls throughout the wrestling season, even if we have an off week, or he'll drive them up with their moms or one of the moms, really. So he's super dedicated, and he has a young son, Grayson, who's going to be a terror. You'll see him on the mats every now and again. So he's got a lot on his plate, and he does a lot for the kids and a lot for the program.
Being down there in South Florida, there's so many great clubs and places to go to take your kids to. I know you guys are building a huge name for yourself. People are starting to come down from, North Florida and Central Florida to come spend some time with you. Do you try to take advantage of all you have down there? I mean, you guys from Homestead to Jupiter, I mean, you guys got some great places that if you're not doing something at your school, there's something going on.
Definitely. Every time that like the Hammer Camp or the Iowa Camp, I encourage my kids to go down there and see Coach Duck and Coach Vic and work with those South Dade guys. It's if it wasn't such a long drive, we'd probably work with them more. We'll get with Southwest a couple times a year and wrestle with them. Our open mat on Saturday is always open to everybody. We have visitors, you know, a couple guys from this club will show up one Saturday, and then you'll have a couple guys come from this Saturday. You really never know who's going to be at that open mat. It's pretty cool every Saturday to see who shows up. And then obviously I was talking about Mako, right? You know, he's the man, and we'll get over it. And, you know, it's an awesome environment. I think you're starting to see a little bit more of that branching out here in Florida. I mean, obviously clubs kind of close their doors to each other and the rivals, but I really like the Team Florida vibe where we're all working together. And I think that's starting to kind of leak into our clubs and, you know, trying to get our high school guys together and just make Florida better. You know, that iron sharpens iron mentality. You can't, there's not enough can be said about that in wrestling, right?
Yeah, I would ask you what kids that are out there thinking about doing the trip or not doing the trip. I know you talked about how important it is for the opportunities and the camaraderie, but what would you say about the coaches that were on Team Florida, the boys and girls coaches were the best, you know, a lot of the best we have in our state. How would that benefit kids to get an opportunity to go there and be around them? You guys did practices, you guys did mat time. It was incredible to see.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 Olympians on staff. The coaches that are on that team have countless state champions. They've coached countless All-Americans, guys like Nestor Verona and Duck and, you know, Mike Palazzo and just there's Connor Beebe. You can go on and on and on, right? Like, but it only takes one move to win a state title or to win a national title. And you might learn that move at a Fargo practice. You really might. I mean, I've learned things. I know this. Every time you go to Fargo, you're going to learn. It doesn't matter how seasoned of a veteran you are. Like, you're going to learn quite a bit, and you're going to see what the new trends are, you know, what's coming next, so to speak, in wrestling. Like, the things that they're doing this year in Fargo are going to be the big moves and the big situations the next 2 or 3 years, probably all over the country, but you're starting to see it there first, because that's where the cutting edge of wrestling is, right? So if you want to see the best, if you want to be around the best, if you want to be the best, you got to go out there.
Yeah, it was when I've started to interview kids and coaches from Team Florida to kind of get their voice heard and get them out there and talk about their experience. And you hear a lot of them, they'll tell you, I'll say, what's one of the best things you learned about being on Team Florida? They'll be like, Coach Duck used to say this, this, and this. And these are kids that aren't on his team, aren't in his club, and they got an opportunity to listen to a guy that's getting put into the Hall of Fame this weekend, right? Or they'll, you know, some of the bigger guys, man, I got to spend time with JD and he got to teach me some of the stuff that he coaches with Ethan, or anybody. I got to be around Palazzo, or I got to be around Coach Donnie, or I got to be around David Mason, who, speaking of David Mason, him and obviously the staff that he put together, or had, maybe he had help, I don't know, but the transition to him has been amazing, huh?
I'm such a big fan of David Mason. The first interaction I had with David Mason was he was refereeing a match, and the way he explained the call to me, I was like, man, I just like that. Like, he just talked to me just differently than a lot of refs. And then you know, we got to know each other a little bit through coaching, say hi here and there. And then last year at Fargo, we really hit it off and made a connection. And this year we were roommates. So I kind of consider him almost a mentor to me. You know, he's kind of given me some pointers along the way as far as coaching and how Olympic style wrestling works. You know, he's been fantastic in my growth as a coach, and all those guys, really. You know, you're talking about the kids who go out there and they say, oh, Coach Duck was saying this and Palazzo was saying that. Well, I think for the coaches as well, you know, you get to kind of bounce ideas off one another and different situations. And that's a really special thing about Fargo as well. It's so great from top to bottom, from start to finish. It's an awesome time.
Yeah. And it seemed like any opportunity you had to be in any corner, you were there. It didn't have to be just Ethan or any.
No, listen,
You were in all corners.
Yeah, I'm gonna coach whoever, and I want to. Even if I'm not in the corner coaching, I'm probably somewhere mat side watching and yelling. Still, it's an infectious environment, and we had such an awesome group this year. It was a lot of fun. It really was. And I heard Connor Beebe on your podcast saying kind of the same thing, but the girls make it a lot of fun to coach them. Like they're a lot different. They come off the mat kind of giddy after the wins, and they're just funnier, man. The boys, they get they're a little more in their emotions. It seems like sometimes the girls are a lot of fun.
And it's funny, I always ask the Bush brothers, because what they've grown up there with the Freedom Girls program.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, tell me about it. And they're like, it is so much fun. They said I can't explain to you until you're around it, right? And I think a lot of you guys got to experience being around it and watching them, how they react, and then the love they have for each other, and
super
watching
supportive.
tape with each other and doing all that
It's
stuff.
wild. They're all on first name basis with each other. It's so much different than the boys' dynamic.
Yeah. So aside from Ethan, obviously, for you, that is your greatest moment of Fargo. But aside from Ethan, what was that one moment that you came back and you were like, wow, I'll always remember that moment?
Oh, this is actually kind of easy for me, and I'm not sure if Cooper knows or feels the same way. But Cooper Haas was losing a match, I think like 6-0, and it was at the break, so he had 3 minutes to come back, and I don't really remember what I said to him. It was something super basic about circling or positioning, and I we had just a good corner. It was a good 30 seconds, and I could tell that he responded to me, and he went out and I think he used what I told him like one time. It might have been like a little hammy grab or something, but man, I think he turned that hammy grab into a cradle and just rolled the cradle. All of a sudden we're up like 11-6, and it was a dogfight still to the end, but that was a great match, and it was really cool to see Cooper getting beat and dig down deep and go after it and get it. It was fun.
Yeah, that was cool. There was a moment that it seemed like everybody was like, oh, this sucks, was when the two Lake Gibson guys had to go at each other,
Yeah,
Tito and Abden.
that was heartbreaking, man. You fly all the way out there, 1,000 some miles or whatever the mileage is, and you wrestle the guy you wrestle every day in the room.
And I really truly believe that Tito All-Americans, if he gets I'm not saying he gets past Abden, but if Tito doesn't have to wrestle Abden, I think if any other kid shows up there,
Yes.
I think Tito wins and he ends up being an All-American.
Yeah, just throw Tito on the other side of the bracket, and maybe him and Abden got him wrestle, in the 7th and 8th match. Or
Yeah, and it seemed like I feel like we could have had easily 4 more All-American. It seemed like we had multiple times where it was either the round before the blood round or the blood round where we had Florida kids going at it with each other. And we had, I remember seeing CJ and Maldonado. I remember seeing, who was
I think Vugman. Did Vugman have to wrestle somebody? I wanted
Vugman had to wrestle somebody. Siegel, I think it was. Was it Siegel?
I think that's Cadet and Junior.
Because I swore I saw him have to wrestle somebody, and
he very well may have had to wrestle one of those other cadets.
maybe he wrestled Heap. It might have been him and Heap.
Yes, I do remember seeing Anderson. I think Anderson wrestled EJ.
Was it EJ? Okay, yeah, it was Anderson and EJ. Yeah, so there's no question Anderson is an All-American if he gets any other kid.
Yeah, that stunk. That round that you were talking about, I think it was the Greco round. Those last couple of rounds before the All-American rounds, man, it was rough. It was rough. We dropped a lot of really close matches, and a lot of more like silly stuff or questionable calls. That's such an emotional part of the tournament too, especially in Greco, because the kids fought, you saw them fight, and then maybe they were blood rounders or round before blood rounders in freestyle, and now they're about to do it in Greco, and they've got to either wrestle somebody from their own state or something else, deters that road to the All-American.
Because if I remember, I think there was 5 kids in the semis, because I remember I remember you guys looking at the matchups and you guys were looking at where the other states were, and you were like, man, if we can put all 5 of these guys in the finals, we got a legit shot.
Yeah, well, I think at one point we were in first. Like we were a few rounds into the tournament too, and Florida was sitting in first. And that I was wanting to say something. You know, we were talking about the great tournaments, and you were talking about Pennsylvania. It's been really fun the last couple of years in Florida. We were on the 16-year duels trip, and we got 7th as a team. We probably would have placed a little higher had we had a 13 for Greco. We would have placed in Greco, and then you know, we had just a couple drop matches there in the freestyle run. We probably could have placed top 5, but we ended up placing, what was it, 3rd, I think, out of Fargo for the cadets. The girls had good showings, some top 10 finishes from them. I think the cadets finished 3rd in Greco, 10th in freestyle. The juniors obviously had a couple of national champs. So like I think we're showing, man, that whatever is going on in Florida is you know,
When they put it all together, we finished 8th.
okay.
So when
Okay.
they put everything kind of compiled together, and
I would be
we were in
interested to see
front
the
of-
list of people.
we were in front of, I think New Jersey was behind us.
I don't doubt it.
A couple other big states that are, you know, wrestling states.
Yeah.
And I think we were there, and it was pretty cool to see. And I was asking Connor Beebe, man, why does Illinois do so well at Fargo every year? Since I look back at Jason Bryant's, you know, almanac, and it seems like they've been doing this since like 1905 or whatever. I mean, it just seems like they've been in there. And he said to me, he goes, I don't know if you know this, but the largest freestyle tournament in the country behind Fargo is the Illinois Freestyle State Tournament. They focus their kids so much on freestyle, which shows end up at Fargo. So, you know, man, how do we build our freestyle tournament, right? Like, we have a freestyle stage, it's pretty big, but it's not everybody. I know there's schools out there that don't teach freestyle or aren't big in freestyle, or just for whatever reason it is. Nothing against them, they just don't. But man, if we could get everybody, man, how awesome would that be? But yeah, that's what I was told. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, you said what, 30, roughly 30 stop signs we brought home, and we left. I mean, we left some of our best guys sitting at the house.
Yep.
A lot of our top seniors didn't come because, you know, their colleges might not want them to come. I can think right off the top of my head, I'm not going to drop any names, but I can think of 5 or 6 other studs that I know could have been right there in those All-American rounds that just didn't come. Or
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I could name them too.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and yeah, they're seniors now, and they're on their schools. I'm sure schools are like, we don't want you to get injured or something.
Yeah, I can understand that a little bit, but the underclassmen, like, you got to get out there.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity, and for me, it was an experience of a lifetime, and it was awesome to see. And and I told Mason that I was one of those guys that was like, man, Team Florida, they charge way, they do that. How is it this much? How's it? And then I got to be involved with it, right? And I got to go through the experience, and I had to pay for my own flight and all that stuff. So I knew how expensive it was to do that. But man, I had nothing negative to say, man. That whole trip was, all you guys welcomed me. I felt like I was part of the team. And then the experience to watch what goes on there, and to see how important. I think I came home with the mindset of, and I'm sure there's coaches out there that probably say, whatever, and there's coaches out there that probably believe what I'm thinking. It just seems like if you're going to grow your state in wrestling, you have to show up there and get better and be on that stage. It just seemed that way to me. I know some people say I haven't been in wrestling long enough to be able to know anything, but I know what I saw.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say that for sure. If you look at, I think Ohio girls had 3 full mats to warm up on. And they were warming up on 3 full mats. And I think the only 2 states we placed behind in Greco were California and Illinois, maybe. I'm not 100% on that. But the numbers game, if we took as many kids as those states, we could probably win a national title as a team.
Especially with girls, I really believe that there, like you guys have said, there's so much opportunity with girls. We brought 84 boys, and there was probably, I believe we had 10, 15, 20 boys at home that were good enough to All-American. And
I agree. I would agree that, I'm not saying they would do it every time if you wrestled 100 tournaments, but they would get there. There's definitely a few of them that would place.
yeah, because we're going to have, like we saw, where 4 or 8 of our people had to wrestle each other, and that just neglects it, right? Or puts one out. But the girls' side, we only had 34 girls or something there. So to go from 34 girls and come in 5th, and I know we had 40 girls in this state that could have gone. Who knows? Who knows what they would have done? But easily we've got that many girls that should show up. If we show up with 70 girls, I mean, look at California. God bless what they've done and the growth they have, and
it was fantastic
with their girls program, and to watch what they do. How do we? Everybody that has a girls' national team in the country should be looking at them and saying, how do I do that? That's what I want to know, because they're doing it right.
Yeah, they really are. That was impressive to see their numbers. California's doing it right. I got to talk to their coaching staff at Fargo and at the 16U duels. They've just got an awesome thing going on right now. They really do. They're all vibing as coaches, and I think with Mason at the helm of our national teams, I think we're going to start seeing that same kind of meshing effect come along, and we're going to just keep getting better. I definitely would encourage all the girls to come out. I know for a fact I had 2 girls stay home, not wrestle the freestyle. They trained freestyle. They practiced freestyle with us all the time, and they just didn't go to Fargo. They were like, oh, I don't want to go. This is what you're going to be wrestling in college. If you want to wrestle in college, which a couple of my girls do, this is what you need to be doing.
They'll be there next year, won't they?
They're going to be there next year. Yeah, I'm going to twist their arms.
Yes, and I get it. We've got to be better at fundraising, and we got to be better at putting some money together to be able to take more kids, because there are a lot of kids that do want to go. They just can't afford to go, right? And of course, there's not an unlimited amount of money at FAWA that they can give the money to everybody. So it kind of gets divvied up the way it gets divvied up. But I know, talking with you guys when we were all in that room, I know you guys there's a lot of minds together right now figuring out how we can do better at fundraising, how we can create more opportunities. So it's on the right track. And like Mason said, hey, you got ideas, call us, instead of throwing shade out there or doing
Don't just complain on Facebook or whatever. But like you said, you were in that meeting, and I think we've got a pretty driven group of coaches, and we have some good ideas, and now it's time to kind of put those into effect next year, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, man, I had a good time. Well, man, it's been cool getting to talk to you. I know, are you going to be up at with St. Thomas? Are you going to be up at the Florida Duel when is it, January or something?
Yeah, so I kind of the same thing I did last year with St. Thomas was I traveled to as much stuff as I could, but the high school's not going to take precedent for now. But yeah, I'll be at. There's nothing with the Matter Lakes team I'm going to miss. I miss a few tournaments here and there with St. Thomas, but for the most part, I'm going to be for both.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, I know last year when they were doing the Florida duels at at SCU, at the same time, Lake Gibson had a tournament on, and all the guys went over there. All the kids went over there to watch that night. I don't know if they're that close again this year. If they are, that'd be good. You take Mater Lakes, you go and get some time at Lake Gibson. They always do a great tournament there, and then you go over and coach your college team. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. Have to check it out. And see what's on the schedule.
Yeah, man. Are you taking anybody up to Michigan?
We've been talking about it. We're talking about that, and we're also talking about like a freak show trip, which is out in Las Vegas, but that's the same weekend as Super 32. So we're still we've got our like smaller local tournament schedule set up for the club fall. And we're trying to see we're trying to see the national events that the kids want to hit.
I'll go up to Columbus Day Duels, Pennsylvania. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, all right. I'll look into that one as well. You guys are heading up?
I may head up to take pictures, but I'm not gonna head up for Daniel's got a plan. So I don't interrupt it. Just let him keep rolling. It seems like.
Whatever he's doing is working.
Huh?
So whatever he is doing is working. He's gotten incredible, like just the steps he's taken. That's what I was telling you at Fargo, seeing where he's came is fantastic as well.
Yeah, everybody's like, take him to everything, take him to this, take him to that. I'm like, well, we've been doing okay the way we've been doing it. And coming out of his sophomore year when he got beat, I kind of gave him the autonomy to kind of make his own decisions and take over the process a little bit. So he took it over and he's been doing his thing. So I don't jump in. If he wants to wrestle a tournament, he'll tell me.
I like it.
But I know definitely he's going to grappler. Definitely he's going to go to qualifier over in Osceola, and then, God willing, we end up at 32, right? So I know that way. I know he wants to. He's been talking about maybe preseason nationals. So we'll see. I just good job. Just keep up the hard work, right? And I promise you, at the end of it, I just tell him sometimes, like, you may hate me right now, but you'll love me later.
I use that all the time on my wrestlers. So
Yeah,
I'll see you one day,
Yeah, one day he'll say thanks for that when I was younger. Right now, no praise.
It's a
He's
tough time.
too cool. He's too cool for me right now, but that's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it's that time, man.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, good luck this year. I'm sure I'll see you around. I'm sure you guys will be able to qualify, right?
Oh yeah, I'll see you there. I'll definitely say hey to you.
Yeah, awesome, man. I know I'll definitely be there.